Ouch. Come on, Edge Loop. This is the first Dark Souls soundtrack. Chris, if you're lucky, maybe I'll put on some Kishibashi. This is the Bell Gargoyle boss fight music. You like going to fight him, and you're like, oh, it's a single gargoyle. He's pretty tough, and you're kind of fighting him off, and you got a friend with you. And then all of a sudden, he gets to half health, and his friend jumps down, and now there's two of them after you. So while you're trying to block one, the other one's behind you blowing fire at you and trying to hit you with his tail. It was insane. Good fight. I'm liking how this piece is coming along. I think it's going to give me at a subdivision surface. I bet it'll look good if I subdivide it and then add some edge loops closer to the edges, but I'm going to leave that modifier off for now. Once I get the rest of the structure, which we can start doing now. See, those are too rectangular, so I'm going to cut them up a little bit, get more of a square. Probably do with another one right here. Magic virtual fingers. What are you talking about, my friend? Yeah, actually, this will be a more accurate representation if I put that on, and then put it on smooth shading. For now, I'm going to keep it like this because I want to be able to clearly see my polys and my faces. Okay. I'm going to actually do this. Perfect. Okay, so that's good flow. Now what I can do is I can just select these interfaces and extrude them up. Okay, where is this cube? What cube is this? I didn't remove it from the stack. Blade, holder, copy. Gotta keep my hierarchy organized. What's up, Kilson? Yeah, this is going to work beautifully here. Oop. I want that. So that's something I gotta be careful of. If you extrude it, and then if you cancel it, it still extrudes it, but it leaves the faces sitting on top of the other ones, and I'll get an error when I gotta bring it in later. It's just poor Geo. See, now it's attached. It sure is, man. I need to grab this from right here, though, and probably down to there. And bring it straight up on the Z. You know what? I can skip out on this last face. Make sure I didn't accidentally extrude. Z axis up. Nearly perfect. Fit. I can lower these a little bit. Thanks, Wacky God. Yes. I could tell last night I was starting to get a little burnt out. There we go. It's pretty decent. I'm looking dapper. It's not a word often attributed to my looks, Chris. It's not a common word. What's up, Digitalis? I'm making sure I said it right. Sweet, now we get to do the fun part. Woke up into, oh my god. Dude, isn't that the worst feeling ever? I'd kick myself for waking up at like 9:30 in the morning. I hate it. I feel like I waste my day. The blade! Yeah, we're doing the blade now. God, this is such a good soundtrack. So now, normally you would merge these right here, but I'm leaving it unmerged right now because I'm gonna do. This is the Dark Souls OST, Dark Souls 1. I'll do Dark Souls 2 after this. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna split this and I'm gonna do a UV mirror on it, so my UV sides are perfectly symmetrical. And since I'm going to, apparently there's a rule, or it's a good rule of thumb. I'm gonna come through and I'm going to mark edge splits. I'm gonna mark hard edges, and then that's gonna be where my UV seams are, and that prevents my normals from bleeding over into one another and getting nasty artifacts on my hard edges. So the end result should look super clean by the time I'm done with this. If all goes, if I'm building this as intended, so. What's going on with this? Yep, they're smoothing groups. I'm gonna go through and kind of try to do that all after. But I'm gonna pay special attention to doing the edge splits and then making sure that my UV seams are on the edge splits. And another important thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to segregate materials in my UV. I'm going to separate materials via my UV maps for my color ID map, which I'm not, Digitalis, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Quixel. Yeah, so part of my UVs, on top of getting the really nice hard normals, I'm going to be able to segregate those materials better. Yeah, I'm going to try to avoid sculpting, and I'm going to try to do all of the sculpting on my normal map inside of Endo. As part of a workflow for weapons, you know, I'd still want to do sculpting on my architecture, but if I could do the really fine detail in Endo on pieces like this, then I'll be much happier. So I'm going to subdiv surface this right off the bat, so I can really yeah, here, Digitalis, look at this. Look at this sword here. Look through the thread. The guy who did this completely skipped the sculpt phase and did all of the detail that you see on the model in Endo. You can see how clean his bake is on the low poly. I mean, it's absolutely stunning. And then when he starts fleshing out the details in Endo, it eliminates, if you can do it that way, if you can just do the detail in Endo, it eliminates so much, so many unnecessary steps. Because if I skip sculpting, I can skip that. I can skip a retopo. And then if I skip, and then you know that. Since I'm using a subdivision surface modifier, or what would be turbo smooth for you, I think if you use 3ds, I'm already using a cage on all these pieces. I got my cage already sitting there on top of them, so it'll make the bake that much cleaner with the cage. I'm still going to need to put blockers. I'm going to need to stick a blocker right here, so the raycast doesn't hit that, and I'll need to put blockers in between the pieces here, where the separate pieces meet. But it should do a really nice bake. Let me go get some more coffee. Alright. Oh crap. What's up, Phil? Are you from the forums, or did you find me from just Twitch? Wow. That Australian time, man. 3:17. So you're technically like pretty much a day ahead, really. Come on. That's nuts. They shouldn't be blue. Should both be white. There we go. They should be white. Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it, Kilson? I gotta fix some of this. Answer. Okay, that was not the right dissolve. That was the right dissolve. I need to shape this a little bit better before I throw in all those edge loops to try to get the faces, get the quads uniform. It's generally a good idea to get your mesh mode blocked out before you move on to something like that. This is already kind of nasty as it is just because it's got a weird shape. I could probably clean it up. The subdivision surface gives it a really nice look. So I can get away with probably adding Hey Wellsprings, welcome back. What's up? See, this is kind of nasty here, but we got fewer edge loops now, so I can start bringing in these edges and sharpening the blade, and then I'll address the issue with the holder at the bottom. So I'm going to try to select all the very outer edge vertices. And if I scale them in, we should... I'll leave those out. If I scale them in, we should... Actually, this part has to stay. At least this is going to add some sharpness to it. Wrong axes. Sometimes their perspective is a little skewed in these. Starting to get a bit sharper of an edge there. I'm going to try throwing a lattice on this. I really love lattice modifiers. Oop. What's up, hon? Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm working on Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. It's an MMORPG bringing back classic hardcore mechanics with a new polished look. Basically trying to bring back what made MMORPGs great in the first place. Social interaction, group combat, challenge, reward, class roles that actually rely on other classes, things like that. So. Clean these up. Oh, come on. Haha. Oh, there'll be more difficult ones. That's for sure. I'm not gonna... One of the things that I loved the most about EverQuest was... Oh, I love this song. One of the things I loved most about EverQuest... Yeah, this is a difficult, somewhat difficult model to approach, but a lot of the times it's just trial and error, because what works for one thing, you know, might not work for another. But just knowing your tool set and stuff like that. Like this, I've had to use the lattice modifier like a bunch of times to get the contours that I want. But it seems to be working out pretty well. There's still a lot that needs to be done to this. This is rather blobby right now, and that's because I'm using a subdivision surface modifier, which I'm trying to figure out how to explain that. But starting to get the result that I want. I really need to make the blade a bit sharper, so I'll probably add an edge loop along this inner edge here, and another one across the outside where the sharpened end would stop. This is Blender. And this is just kind of just the first step. I'm kind of accustomed to Maya, but coming to Blender for Maya was easy because you can set all your hotkeys to operate just like Maya or 3DS. I talked a bit about it last night, so how the monthly costs on those are kind of steep, and I don't need all of the features in them. So moving to Blender was relatively simple for, in terms of just being able to get around the interface and use the tools. A lot of times the tool sets are similar. They might just have a different name for something. Alright, Moto looks amazing. I mean, I've seen videos of people doing a hour-long, it's just like an hour-long speed level design, and Moto like fast tracks so many things that are a little bit tedious about these other modeling packages. I could find the videos for you if you're curious. Yeah, well, I just use Blender for creating these base meshes. Right now I use Mudbox as my sculpting package, and for some hand-painted texturing. It's got a really nice layer setup for texturing, and but just for the purpose of making base meshes, Blender gets the job done for free. So yeah, once I figured out, you know, oh, where's edge loop, what's turbo smooth called in this, what's you know, I was able to start figuring it out, and now it's just kind of feels pretty natural to use. Oh, 3D printing, very cool. I also have I have 3D coat, but I don't use it for sculpting really. I use it for UVs and retopo sometimes. I use it to voxelize some rock models and merge them and make rock formations. I don't use its sculpting features though. I just know Mudbox's sculpting features so well that I can just breeze through a sculpt, can make a rock in like, you know, a few minutes in Mudbox. The add-ons for Moto or the add-ons for Blender? I need to, I think I might put a card here and do like some sort of tassel hanging from this, and I could do a what do they call it in Unity? It's not going to be a skinned mesh, but like their little flag physics thing, and I'll get it hanging. It'll be nice. That's really cool. I've never done anything with 3D printing. I can't think of anything that I'd like to do with it. It would be cool to, like, you know, have some, like, have this model or something like that 3D printed. It'd be pretty neat to look at. Okay, so now the only thing I need to add is this crystalline structure at the bottom. I'm trying to figure out the best way to approach that. What I think I'm going to do is cube and subdivide it a bit, and then extrude the pieces separately. So it has like a, let me look up some crystal references. So here, what I could do is just extrude a cube kind of. So you want to become like a freelancer for modeling and stuff, right? Don't worry, Krem, you'll be able to see it. It's still not done either. It's I got to do a lot more work to it. It's just the base shape now. I got to edge loop it, make it a bit sharper. So don't worry, you didn't miss out too much. You missed. It was probably kind of boring, if anything. So I wouldn't kick myself over it. I got a good idea for 3D printing. What you could do, Pro, is you could 3D print tabletop figures for people, like custom ones, for people's like D&D or Pathfinder campaigns or something like that. You could have like a form that people fill out and like tell what race and class their character is, what pose they want them in, what type of equipment they have and stuff. And you could like model it and then 3D print it for them at various sizes. You could have different charges for different sizes. You could have like full-fledged, like, you know, like a foot tall, or you could have like the small figurines that you use for, yeah, small figurines you use on the grid and stuff. That would be pretty interesting. You just gotta be, I guess you gotta be careful with that though, because it's not your intellectual property, so that's probably not a good idea. I wouldn't do that. I'm not sure. I would look into it first. You might be able to do it. I'm not sure, but that'd be pretty interesting to try. But you definitely look into it before you do something like that, because you don't want to infringe on stuff that's not your intellectual property. I need to get ZBrush really bad though. See, this is where sculpting would be handy, like actual traditional sculpting in a package, but this will do for now. Let's subdivide it a few times. Yeah, Pro, I'd highly suggest you get a pretty beefy computer. Need a pretty decent processor and a pretty decent graphics processor as well. I appreciate you guys coming in here. Well, guys, here's the block out. This is a bit wide. Scale it up slightly lengthwise. Yeah. Yep. Pro, 30,000 is not a lot of polys for a high poly sculpt, that is. My high poly pieces are usually around 1.5 million. Okay, so the only non-manifold I should have is where it's telling me, which is good. So when these are merged, that will be manifold. Okay, now I'm going to give some attention to the first one, save. I want to really harden up this. I'm going to make this kind of like a slight edge loop. Look a little cleaner. Just kind of make it a little more even around these contours, and that's going to sharpen up the edge a bit too. Oh yeah, see? There we go, now we got a much sharper edge there. And we also got it right here because we because it followed the contours that went around, so ooh. Sorry, I got in the zone there. I missed out on what some people said. $13 million polys. That is a lot. Not one of the 9 playable races. I went to cut my beard, yeah, right. Okay, so next part that I need edge loops on. Be able to adjust that perfectly once I got this blade done. Take care, Gilson. Cat's over there. This is the cat's spot. She sleeps on the Chinese bar with all the weapons. Kind of like a dragon's den. Where was my camera before? Right by the swords and the video game maps. Alright, so when I did an edge loop there, it made this sharper than I would have liked. And this is... Oops. Guess it's kind of already sharp as it is, huh? Let me put the... So we need a corner here, sharper corner here, sharp corner there, sharp corner there, sharp corner there. It's only for bread. Nah, stuff is only for me. There's going to be a lot of Mantra Store exclusive weapons in this game, so I'm really sorry about that ahead of time, guys. When you see me in game, you're going to be like, wow, where did you get that weapon? And I'll be like, sorry, this is a exclusive. Go make your own. No drop, no trade, no mod. Yeah. I'm going to try to edge loop this, and I'm going to try to move these two slightly farther away to get that subdivision interpolation. Yeah, that'll do. That will do, my friends. There we go. What we got going on up here? Do not like. There we go. This needs to be a little more interpolated. There we go. It's a little better. And I keep... You should be able to stream audio in the game development. If anything, it's just free publicity for them, you know? So I don't like how rigid this is. See what happens if I spread the edge loop a little bit. See if I can get the... I might add a piece. I think I'm going to add a piece on the back end of the blade right here. Let's give it a test and see. You guys can tell me, because I don't like how this looks right here. This blank area. So I'm going to do something similar to this, but I want it to be on the back end here. So, Let's get another piece in here. This code gray. This engine is going to go into Unity 5. Okay, so let's play around with this a little bit. Something like this. No, Blender is just for the base mesh. Normally, I would bring a mesh into Mudbox for my high poly sculpt. Sweet drop, I see you, man. Normally I bring it into Mudbox and sculpt. I do want to get ZBrush. What I'm going to do with this, though, is I'm going to model a really clean high poly in this without adding a lot of the details that you would do in sculpting. And then what I'm going to do is get a really clean bake, put it on a low poly just by turning the subdivision surface level down. And I'm going to do a lot of the sculpting inside of Quixel's Endo. On the UV sheet of the normal, I'll be able to add a lot of detail. For like a larger prop, like you know, some architecture and stuff, I'd rather sculpt it in like ZBrush or Mudbox. But for this, oh, Endo's great. It's still like in development, you know, so it does have its bugs and it does crash. But for the most part, it is a really, really awesome program to use. It's a real godsend for a lot of PBR texturing. It has PBR charts that are calibrated for specific engines. Yeah, I might have some faces that a sculpting package might not like in it. I might have some. I'm trying to keep even quads as best as I can, but it's difficult initially to keep them all uniform. So generally, when I go to bring it into a package, a sculpting package, Mudbox is good about telling you where and then highlighting the areas that are problems. So I'm not sure if this would just cleanly go into my sculpting package. See, that's what I want ZBrush for Dynamesh alone. Dynamesh seems like an absolute godsend for a lot of the problems that arise in subdivision surface modeling and just modeling in general. Yeah, UE4 is great, man. It's an extremely powerful engine. If you can harness its rendering capabilities, it's really great. How the design aspect of it is not always as straightforward as like Unity and whatnot. So I can see why a lot of new developers pick Unity. Yeah, I mean, I'm biased. I know Unity quite well now. I have done stuff in Unreal 4, and I do like it a whole lot. Oh, thanks, Jared. Well, yeah, Marmoset has Sky Shop in Unity. So I think that piece helps, for sure. This is still rather ugly here, but I'll address that when I get to it. Yeah, that's what I hear. ZBrush, you can pretty much start and make a base mesh in it, which is pretty rad. Oh, well, yeah, appearance is important, but structural integrity is always great, too. And that just goes along with looking at references you want. This actually conforms to standard weapon construction. You could think of this as a pommel of a sword, this being the handle, this being the guard, and then the blade, so the structure is all there. This probably would make sense, this piece I just added here, because if you think about the force going up against the blade here, you know, it's going to be striking at the sharp side, so having something behind it to support it would make sense. So yeah, all those factors, you got to be creative and you got to make it look nice, but you also need to think of structural aspects of the weapon. So that was a good question. What's up, Surreal? Yeah, Wellsprings, that would be really cool to see. Yeah, just wait till we start texturing it. That's where it really starts to come to life, and it's really, really fun to see it start to take its actual form. That'll be a really exciting thing to be a part of and have you guys see and witness, especially those of you that are going to be watching most of the production of this. So see, I added the edge loops to this piece now, and I'm getting the really fine hard edges now. It's starting to look more like a metallic piece. Matt Cap, there we go. Sorry. I saw you say that earlier, but So see, I didn't even edge loop this piece all the way in yet, so. Thanks, Code. I appreciate you coming in and talking and following. I'll see you around, man. I think we need a hard edge. I like it smoother. Yeah, there's a lot of factors that would go into having something like that, because the production has to be very in line with our current pipeline and other issues like that. With you guys will have to have tools that are very. I mean, of course, if someone has them, that would be great. But there's a lot of issues that sort of thing brings up. Great. Well, if you guys miss anything, you can just check it later.